Howdy, folks. We're almost done. Let's talk about glazing. So, I've got some glaze examples here, and this is your bisque-fired clay. So we want to talk about bringing this stuff up to level 4 glazing. These rubrics were on your table. We talked about getting from red, not so good, like a traffic light, getting all the way to green, this exemplary level, with building, with developing your superhero. Part of that will be this color scheme. So let's say yours look like this. Maybe you've got a lot of details ironed out here. You can do really fine stuff. You can do your logo. Perfect. Maybe you don't have many decals. Maybe there's no areas kind of lined up, sharpened up, nothing. This is great though, by the way. There's a little initial stamped in, exactly what we wanted to do so you could find it. So, let's say you're this guy. I can divide up this space to make this thing awesome, even though there isn't much detail in the clay. So, I'm not looking for this to be one single color. Like, oh, I'm just going to paint this whole thing gray. That is not going to get me level 4. I want to get as much points as possible. This is pretty good. I can get in here and I can do some detail. This gives me some real fine detail also. Here's a good start. Let's say I've got a symbol like this that I carved in. How am I going to paint that thing with a glaze? One way to do it, okay, let's say I want it gray. I want it 203 gray. We're going to use this cup as an example. We're going to paint right into there. And you're like, oh no, it's all messy. Oh no, it's messy, Mr. T. So, we do that. The bisque clay starts to soak up the moisture. Then we take a sponge and we lightly buff it out. Now, I've got nice, super gray detail. I can do the same thing in here, in the pants, in the hair. I can do that with these pants, in this little area here, in the back. Let's say I just didn't really do anything and you're like, well, I want to show like there's boots or there's something different there. One thing you can do is use a piece of tape. Now if you're thinking, okay, well, the tape's a little too wide, this regular masking tape. I'm going to, I could cut it so I could slice it with a razor. And I can also help you with that to make this a bit smaller. But I can also use this tool, which is a metal rib, and get this tape a bit thinner. Or not. Okay, we're going to slice that. Let's say I go the short way. I can take a piece here. I'm just kind of tearing this, and I get a nice small piece of tape. Now, the other thing is, I don't want to do this on a dusty board. The reason I grabbed this board is because it has sort of a slick surface, and I cleaned it off. I'm not going to do this on the table, because then my tape won't have any more stick left to it from the dust. So, let's say I want boots here. I can take a piece of tape, I can put it around the leg really clean. And again, I'm going to use my gray. Gray's our color for today. I'm going to put this on here. And this person might not want this gray, but that's okay. We'll just sponge it off. So I'm going to put a couple coats. I'll let it dry in between. So this is going to be my boot. The whole bottom's going to be my boot. Maybe this piece will be a different color. Maybe I'll put a little logo here. That's possible too. I pull this off, and wow, look at that nice clean line. So I have a nice sharp line. I can also do that. I can do the leg one color, then tape it. And if I only have, like, let's say the leg's red and the boot's gray. I do red, then I tape it, and I do the gray on the bottom. So that's a possibility. Okay, next. I have another example here. One thing I like to do with my own work is I will print something. I'll print something like a logo or letters. These are going to be initials. and then apply them to the piece. So I print it, I trace it, then I put it over the bottom and I use a transfer paper. So then I paint it in carefully and I actually use a wax. I wax over the letters, then when I glaze over it, the glaze doesn't stick and I just rub off the areas that are sticky, that where the, sort of like when you wax a car. If it gets wet, there's still water on it, but you can kind of clean it off really easily because it doesn't soak in. So again, print it, trace it. I want to size it before I trace everything. This helps me figure out where I want it. Then I transfer paper it on and I can paint it in carefully. This is the same style where I'm painting the edge here and I have a thin piece of tape. So I've kind of cut this tape thinner to use it. This is an image that was transferred on, kind of like a rugby image. So those don't relate to the superhero project, but they do in the sense that what if my person had no logo here? I could add a small logo. So part of, and you're saying, oh, why would I do that? Because I want to have a higher grade. And to have a higher grade, I need to show that I have developed a level 4 idea and I've really put some detail into my glazing. This is the last step. Also, another quick note. This person's going to want to glue these together after. So I don't want any glaze in this inside part. So the hot glue works really well in these two areas when there's no glaze. It does not permeate the glaze, but it does kind of stick into this raw clay. So no glaze wherever I'm gluing stuff together. I can glaze right up to it if I get glaze on it, and I can sponge it off. These are great examples. You may have done a tester. So you have some test colors already. Look at me, I'm super. But I have no legs. This might have been part of a person or part of weapons or something like that. Again, that's kind of weird looking. It looks like penguin weapons. So these have been tested. This has been glaze tested. So you see those little... It's hard to see it in the light, but he's got like purple undies on. So layers. You might try shades of colors. You might try a really nice color scheme. A lot of superhero stuff typically has a contrasting color scheme, like red, yellow, like bright contrasting. You don't have to. This one has blue, blue, and black, a little bit of yellow here. So think about this as you start to glaze. If you're missing parts, we'll do the best we can to get all these back together, get stuff glued together. You're really going to have to look through the shelves to find all your parts and pieces. Carefully look and make sure that what you're finding belongs to your person. All right, thanks. Let's have some good glazing days, folks.